The Mamba mentality has left a mark. Shout out to the NBA legend, Kobe, and your daughter, Gigi. From Tom Brady to Drew Bledsoe. Rain, sleet, or snow, I grind. I am the difference maker. I am the game changer.
Another week goes by, and I'm telling you, Cody, every single time we do this show, man, that intro pumps me up. Every single time we do the show, that intro pumps me up. Guys, welcome to another episode of The Game Changers live on the Right Way Sports Network's YouTube channel. I'm your host, CEO of the Right Way Sports Network, Malik Wright, joined with my co-host, my tag team partner, the AD to my LeBron, or the LeBron to my AD, whatever you want to call it. We've got Cody. Cody, how you doing, my man?
Hey, look, I'm living the dream. We had a phenomenal day today, got a good workout in, and I only played the intro on loop just so I could get the juices flowing.
Okay, I like that.
Only played the intro on loop.
Listen, and Wednesdays is a great day because get the Game Changers is coming at you live each and every single week. Make sure you guys follow us on all social media platforms, like it says, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You know the deal. Follow us down below. Me and Cody's, our Twitter is in the description. We all give some great takes. Shout out to everybody who's followed me on Twitter this week as well. I think I'm almost at 300 new followers just in this week's span on Twitter. So that's, yeah, man. So, yeah, it was pretty shocking. These last 2 days have been pretty rapid for me. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little Hollywood now, getting all these followers on Twitter. I don't know what you guys all follow me for. Hopefully it's not for Bengals content. Maybe it is for Bengals content. I don't know, but either way, I appreciate you guys supporting me and following me on the Twitter. Cody, with that being said, let's jump right into it. NFL action is happening. Everyone's getting cut left and right. Kevin Zeitler got cut from the Giants. Emmanuel Sanders got cut from the Saints. What are your thoughts so far on the players that have been cut? And who do you see being cut next?
So it's kind of what we expected from it's veterans on those fairly expensive deals, but not too incredibly expensive. And it's teams that are just in cap purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints they have made cuts. They've cut Jared Cook. They've now cut Emmanuel Sanders. They're going to continue to make cuts.
Mm-hmm.
It is my belief that Jameis Winston will not end up back on that team just because they don't have the money to re-sign him. They are already in negative cap space. So, man, it's crazy to see some of these guys because there's going to be a lot of talent available in free agency. I think, man, some of the biggest, there are some names out there that I think they cut Riley Reif for the Vikings. And I thought that was a name to keep an eye on. I think the guard, Brandon Brooks for the Eagles, not that they would cut him because he is a Pro Bowl caliber player, but I think he is somebody who could be moved either prior to the draft or, on draft night because he has a pretty large deal. It's crazy.
I think that's like a guy that has been floated around already in trade talks as well.
Yeah.
A Brandon Brooks kind of guy. I mean, he's kind of up there in age too. I'm not sure. Was he the guard? I think he was the guard for them last year that got hurt. He was out with a season-ending injury.
Yes.
He got hurt during I remember that during the training camp, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to call that. He got hurt. Quan Alexander. Thanks, Nader, for that. Quan Alexander got cut. So it's been a lot of crazy cuts. And a lot of people, for instance, people are looking at the people that got franchise tag. How about Cam Robinson getting franchise tag? That was pretty wild to me.
It was, but it makes sense. And it makes sense. Is Cam Robinson a top 5 tackle in the NFL? No.
Is he a top 10? No.
It's not close. No.
Is he a top 15? No.
That being said, doesn't make sense from a Jaguar standpoint to not try and get your rookie quarterback murdered. Sure. Absolutely. So I think it is, while obviously not the long-term solution, it's a feasible move by the Jaguars, who by no means have a ton of cap restrictions. They're going to be able to bring some guys in free agency still. They have a ton of space. But it gives presumably Trevor Lawrence a little bit of protection. It's something that I think offensive lines should do to protect their rookie quarterback. I'm not going to name teams.
On camera. I mean, listen, they had the money, right? They had the money to pay. Let me break down what happens when you franchise tag a player. You're paying them as if they're one of the premier players at their position. That's what you're doing. When you franchise tag a player, you're saying you're one of the premier players at your position. I value you. I want you. We're going to franchise tag you because we're quote unquote the franchise. You're the franchisee player of the year for us right now. That's ridiculous. What's going on, Chipra? Appreciate you commenting. Thank you for supporting the TWS and Game Changer show, my man. But the crazy thing is, to me, people are up and all riled up like, oh, this person should have got franchise tag. This person should have got franchise. Listen, this is the worst year from an organizational standpoint to franchise tag a player.
100%.
Maybe for a player, this is a great year to be franchise tagged, right? Because, I mean, you figure this is the worst year. I think the cap is 182.5 million, 182.5 million. This is the worst year to be franchise tagged. It is the worst year to be franchise tag. It's absolutely awful. I'm sorry. It's the worst year to use the franchise tag. And for a player, you're loving it. You're sitting back going great because, has been said multiple times this week. I've heard, if you're a player and you're hitting free agency this year, whoa, you picked the bag. Hit free agency. You're gonna struggle. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's gonna be that significant? Because you got people who are gonna say, oh, nobody's gonna get paid $15 million. Nobody's gonna get paid $16 million. Do you think guys are still going to get the bag this year?
I do and I don't. I think you are going to see a lot of front-loaded 1 or 2 year deals. I think that's what's going to happen. And you're going to see teams who are looking to compete go out and get guys. Like, you can't tell me that, a team like the Colts wouldn't be interested in Emmanuel Sanders, bringing in a guy who's a proven talent, like been to Super Bowls, like bringing him in.
Good locker room guy, by the way, too.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see that a lot. I think it's going to give teams who don't normally have big off seasons from a free agent standpoint the ability to sign some bigger name guys on 1 year deals. But to me, this, and I say it every year, and I hate the franchise tag. I hate the entire way it operates. I hate the NFL system of it. It makes zero sense to me why the NFLPA hasn't done something about the franchise tag, because it's essentially like a guy, he has to every ounce of his capability played through his contract, right?
Right.
And then he could go and look for a new position, just like any other job. Any other job in the U.S., you could go, you fulfill your contract, you could go look for another position or extend your current contract, right? Nowhere in the U.S. does any other business say, I'm going to make you work for me for another year. I am going to force you to stay where you are at in your current position. You are going to take a salary that I am mandating upon you. Now, granted, it is a lot of money, but that I hate it. I hate the way I hate the entire way that it operates. It is not fair to the players who, a lot of these guys have earned long-term extensions, and that, quite frankly, they're not going to get it. And I think it's flawed in how the NFL handles it. It needs to be changed. I would love to see something in similar to the fashion that the NBA does with restricted free agents.
Yeah.
Something along that lines.
I like Nader's point. He says A-Rob being franchise tagged angered him. It angered me too, because Allen Robinson's a guy who deserves to have a quarterback. And as it stands right now, the Bears do not have a quarterback. So we're sitting back and I just feel for the guy, right? I mean, A-Rob, I think he kind of hurt himself too when he was like, yeah, I'm open to returning to Chicago under the right circumstances. So it's like, I get it, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel for him. I feel for him a bit. I hope that Allen Robinson's whole situation works out with the Bears. Hopefully the Bears go out and they get a quarterback. That would be excellent. That would be great. Let's talk about teams who didn't use the franchise tag, a la the Cincinnati Bengals. That has been a big. And if you guys don't know, a reason why I picked Cody, because Cody's a fellow Bengals. I'm joking. That's not why I picked to work with Cody. But we do happen to both be Bengals fans. I actually thought he was a Colts fan when I first added him to the team. But yeah,
I love that. And I like me some Indianapolis, but the Colts.
I think low-key, if you could, I think that will be your secondary team.
Oh, low-key. Absolutely. It's not close.
But why didn't you pick them? Why didn't you pick them? Just out of curiosity. Is this the same reason why I didn't pick the Giants or the Jets? Because I live in Jersey. I'm moving to Cincinnati, but I live in Jersey.
So I grew up halfway between Cincinnati and Indianapolis. And About half my town is split about 50-50, right? And a lot of my family members were Bengals fans. My brother is a massive Colts fan, right? And the sibling rivalry, as great as it is, pushed me in the opposite direction. He said, you know what? If you're going to be a Colts fan, I'm going to be a Bengals fan because I don't want to root for the same team as you. We're going to be different. And I picked incorrectly.
Right.
But look, I love being a Bengals fan.
You picked incorrectly?
Look, Bengals.
You think you picked incorrect? I mean, if you look at it, right?
From a success standpoint. From a success
Super Bowl.
The Colts also have this, I think, the second most wins since 2000, right? Out of any franchise to the Patriots.
Listen, that's great. You see, you guys seeing what's happening right now? The defense mechanism with Cody is coming out because Cody is low key deep down inside a Colts fan. But you love it though. You love it. But back on topic, right, for a second. People ridicule the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're going to hear us talk a lot about the Bengals on the show because we are both Bengal fans. So when conversations permit, we're going to talk about our team. People are coming out saying the Bengals should have used the franchise tag. They should have went out and used the franchise tag. And what were your thoughts on that?
So I understand why the franchise tag exists from a team standpoint. It allows you to keep a guy on a short-term deal to allow your team to compete, right? I understand why the Bengals did not use their franchise tag, and here's why. If they used the franchise tag on either of the two defenders that were in question, William Jackson III or Carl Lawson, you get these guys back for 1 year. That is great. Guess what that does not do? It absolutely does not fix your defense, right? There are it
cripples you.
Yeah. So it doesn't allow you to fix your defense. It doesn't allow you to sign any guys long-term, which is what you need as the Bengals. You need a long-term solution defensively because right now there is one player on defense who you can really build around in Jesse Bates. We have young linebackers, right? A couple younger guys in the secondary and an aging D-line. So we need to build around a young core. And if you do not allow yourself to sign guys to long-term deals, then you are never going to be able to do that. Now, short term, right? If we are talking about the Bengals competing in 2021, yes, it hurts them, right? Because those two are very talented. I think Carl Lawson and Will Jackson III are very talented players.
I agree. But what if I told you, I got to word this the correct way, obviously. What if I told you that it was for a reason? What if I told you that reason is something that they're well aware of? What if I told you that it's something that they're going to address and it's not something that? What if I told you they had a visit already lined up? Would that? No. So I can't. I'm not going to break anything. I'm not going to break anything out of respect for the people that I'm very close with. But I will say, stay close to your phones this weekend, guys. Stay close to your phones this weekend.
Yeah, because so for those of you who don't know, Malik has the inside scoop, right? He has nestled his way into the Bengals, and he hears things. He hears whispers, right?
A lot of friends in a lot of places.
So, if there is a reasoning behind it, I absolutely agree with it, right? If the Bengals have a plan, that is excellent.
Yeah.
Now, the last 10 years have not given me a ton of hope in the Bengals having a plan. Things have changed. The Blackburns are in. I think
awesome.
I think they are going to do a phenomenal job with changing the culture around the Cincinnati Bengals, because right now, and if you follow Bengals Twitter, it can be a negative place at times.
Oh yeah.
And I think the outlook on the team is going to change. You have to make moves in order to do that. They did it last year in bringing in, now granted, those guys didn't pay out last year, just a lot of injuries, right? Trey Waynes never played a regular season snap. DJ Reader got hurt, couldn't finish out the year. Yeah. That being said, if they have a plan and if they are doing this for a reason, excellent. I love to see it. That is what good franchises do.
They do.
Good franchises think about the long term and they think about the future.
Bad franchises go out and they franchise tag a guy for potential. That's what bad franchises do. I'm happy that they didn't use I personally dislike the franchise tag a little bit. I think it should be specified to certain players and regulated to certain players. But that's just me. You can disagree with me, obviously, but I just think that the franchise tag, it should be very, it shouldn't be a thing where we're just going to slap it on this guy just because, right? Just because of potential. And I think that's something I'm very grateful for with our front office. I think our front office is very smart, and that's why you don't find the Bengals in a lot of these, to call it these in these like cap hell situations, these purgatory type of situation. You don't find them in those because they don't allow themselves to be. They spend money wisely. Say what you will. Yeah, they go out and they spend it on their own. The knock on them used to be, hey, the Bengals don't go out and spend money on, on free agents. But I mean, listen, they always spent money on their own. They always took care of their own guys, and they moved on forward. So how can you really hate on the franchise for that? I mean, I'm personally happy with where we are. I'm excited. I think a lot of Bengals fans should be super excited for next week, this weekend. I think a lot of people should be just excited overall. This is going to be an awesome free agency period for us. It's going to be something new, something that we might have experienced a little bit last year, obviously, but I think this year you're going to see them make even more smarter investments, and especially with the cap being down so low, it's going to work in their favor. So, I say all that to say, I think that's why I was so mind boggled by the Jaguars, for instance. And going back to I was so boggled by them using the franchise tag on Cam Robinson because I believe they have the most cap space right now as it stands. So if you really want a guy, why are you paying him like he's one of the top tackles in football? Why don't you just sign him to a short-term deal?
Yep. Agreed. I understand. The only thing is I think they've seen young quarterbacks not be behind an offensive line. If they believed in Cam, maybe they're saying, hey, look, Cam, you got to prove it. So,
and this is something that we do on the Game Changers, right? We're changing the way the way you view sports through conversations. And, a lot of this is on the fly, guys. That's the one thing you're going to get with the Game Changers. We're not necessarily on script. We have obviously certain things we're going to talk about. Like I said, me and Cody were very close. We talk, not every single day, but the day of the show, the day before the show, we just talk about it. So Jacob, I want to talk about your Raiders right now. Raiders, they made some really interesting decisions this past week. They cut Gabe Jackson, traded Trent Brown. Too many Trents, by the way. Trent Brown to back to the New England Patriots. I believe they also cut
LaMarcus Joyner.
Cut Richie Incognito. They're trying to get Marcus Mariota to take a pay cut from his $10 million cap hit that he's getting. So, I like Tristan. Tristan's our social media manager here at TWS, and he's a diehard Raiders fan. I mean, like, literally every other word out of his mouth is Raiders. And I love that about him. It shows passion, right? He loves the fan base. But I gotta address this for a second, right? The Raiders are in a weird situation right now, I think. And they went from having one of the top offensive lines to having one of the worst offensive lines. What is your thoughts on this whole Mike Mayock, John Gruden duo thing? Is it working or is it not? I mean, is it too early to say it's out? Because I'm gonna be real with you. Since he took over the Raiders, have we actually seen any progress from them?
Yeah, it's been nothing but mediocrity. And I love what the Raiders did in the sense that they tried to go out and sign guys. I get it, right? They looked to make moves. Now, those moves did not pan out at a historic rate, right? Tyrell Williams missed most of last year after signing a 2-year deal. He was cut, now moves on to Detroit. Trent Brown, gone. LaMarcus Joyner, gone. You hate to see. I love a good offensive line unit. Like it just gets me fired up. Like because good franchises build good offensive lines.
Absolutely.
So to see it fall apart is concerning. I believe that they went in the last couple of years. I believe they were wrong. About some of their perceived talent. I do not think when you picture quarterbacks who are able to win a Super Bowl, I just don't see Derek Carr in that light. Bad
investment. Jacob York. Carl Nassib getting 3 years, bad investment. I was never really enamored with Carl Nassib. I don't know about you, Cody. Sorry to cut you off, but I had to ask you that. What is your thoughts?
It's another one of those where they paid for a guy with potential, and that's great. Real money should be given to success. And I understand how you want to pay a guy before he gets great, and that's awesome. But the Raiders just haven't shown the ability to do that. They're going to hurt for a while. This year is going to be tough. If Derek Carr isn't able to prove it, then I think this might be his last go around in Las Vegas. So Gruden's going to be there, right? He signed a 10-year deal. They're love him or hate him, they're stuck with Gruden. I think he's a good coach. I think he gets his guys going and gets the most out of that locker room. But yeah, that just some questionable calls over the last couple of years. My thoughts on Antonio Brown are when I'm not a fan of a guy who forces his way out of any team, because that he is going to be looking for something very particular.
Right.
And if you do not give him that very particular thing,
it's going to be a bad situation.
Right.
It's going to be a bad situation.
Yep. So, and that's why like the Lions let Kenny Golladay go, right? They didn't give him the franchise tag. And I think that is a smart decision by the Lions. And I think a lot of Lions fans, I follow a good handful.
Letting Kenny Golladay is a smart decision, you think?
Yes.
Well, we got to talk about that. Why is that?
Because if you sign Kenny Golladay to a long-term deal, that is awesome, right? Who is going to throw him the ball, right? So Jared Goff is not the long-term solution. I'm not a believer in Jared Goff. While there is some talent and he can win them some football games, this is a rebuilding team. Their defense stinks. Their offensive line is pretty good.
But isn't that handicapping Jared Goff? I mean, upon his entry to the team, a little kid.
Yeah, but you see that all the time. The Patriots did nothing to help Cam Newton last year. There are so many teams where you see that happen. They let Kenny Golladay walk, and he was very disinterested last year. He pulled what essentially, and I love AJ Green. I'm a big fan of AJ Green, but he essentially sat out the back end of the season last year due to injury, when a lot of people are clamoring for him to come back, and he was never put on IR, and he did the back and forth and then just never came back onto the field, right? When you have a guy who shows up like that and is disinterested, it is very, very difficult to – how do you justify signing a guy who doesn't want to be there to a long-term deal? It's not good for your locker room. It's not good for anybody. So let him walk. Because if you franchise tag him, if you're going to sign Kenny Golladay to a long-term deal, that is absolutely different than franchise tagging him. Because if you franchise tag him, guess what? You paid him a bunch of money, so you could give Jared Goff a fighting chance. So if
what's the equivalent of what's going on with the Bears with Allen Robinson?
Yeah, I don't like what the Bears did either. You're giving either whoever their quarterback is.
I mean, at least
the Bears think they can win.
At least I agree. The Bears think they can win, and they're sadly mistaken. But at least the Lions have somewhat of a quarterback, and the guy's been to a Super Bowl. I'm not going to sit up here and completely disrespect Jared Goff, but I don't know, because who are his receivers? It's clearly Marvin Jones is a free agent. Yep. Kenny Golladay is a free agent.
Yep. They have Quintez Cephas, who was a rookie last year. Phenomenal sports name. Incredible sports name. Quintez Cephas. And then they have TJ Hawkinson at tight end, right? DeAndre Swift. I think that team is going to run the ball. Dan Campbell seems like a guy who is going to try to go straight through you and he's not going to out trick any defense. He is going to run through a defense. But yeah, I don't think franchise tagging him makes sense, because you lose all that, any cap space that could have carried over, any cap space that could have, you signed a young guy. It's essentially the same thing as the Bears, right? The Bears have a better roster than the Lions do, but they don't have a contending roster. So you brought back Allen Robinson.
Oh, Nader, get out of here. Now, Nader is the equivalent Chicago residential fan. He thinks Chicago sports is great in every, if you ask him anything about Chicago, I mean, the Bears aren't doing anything.
They need to improve in the offensive line, and they need a quarterback. You can't win. You cannot win a Super Bowl
without a quarterback. Who's left? Bobby Massey. They let Bobby Massey. They're only getting worse. Yep.
Your defense is great. That's good. When was the last time a team really won a Super Bowl on a defense?
Right.
Peyton Manning led Broncos when Peyton Manning was 40 some odd years old.
Offense wins championships, but defense wins championships in critical moments, I believe. That's what I believe. That's my new thing I'm going with all next season. Offense wins championships, but defense wins championships in critical moments.
You need both. I mean, you need a good overall team, and you can't.
You're not stopping these offenses nowadays. You're not stopping these offenses nowadays. I mean, these guys are going for 500 yards, in total offense. And
quarterback. And that's what the game's built around now. The game is built around a great quarterback who can move the ball up and down the field, or some sort of dynamic offense, right? Like even though the 49ers don't have an unbelievable quarterback, they still have a dynamic offense.
They
right?
do.
It's not easy. And that is what separates good from great. And good doesn't cut it in the NFL. Right? It's one of the most competitive leagues in sports, right? We haven't had a repeat Super Bowl winner since early 2000s, the Patriots.
We might get one this year.
You think Tampa Bay runs it back? They re-signed Levante David, franchise tag Chris Godwin.
It's early. It's early before I go out there breaking anything and giving my prediction of who's going to come out of, what conference and who's going to represent what. I'm just going to say they have the best shot right now as it stands. If you look at them, I mean, they got Chris Godwin back. Who are they losing? Shaq Barrett. Okay, they're losing Shaq Barrett.
That is a tough loss, but they have a much easier path because I think the Saints are going to not be anywhere in the same realm as the Buccaneers.
What if this is a deep pass rush? This is a deep pass rush. This is a deep pass rush class, right? Or so they say.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the Buccaneers could stay put like where they're sitting right now, and they could pick up a premier edge rusher in the first round that some might probably pegged in the second round. They could pick up a Carlos Basham. Maybe Azeez Ojulari falls to them. I don't think he will, but Azeez Ojulari, maybe he falls to them for the pass rush out of Georgia. And boom. No, I'm not saying Shaq Barrett's easy replaceable, but guys, we just said that that players are going to be accepting a lot less money. If I'm a player and I get a phone call, ring, 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 hello, yeah, you want to play with Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay
Patriots have done it for years.
Right.
You know how many guys signed 1-2 year deals with the Patriots?
1 year contract, but you're going to get a Super Bowl ring, but you're going to go deep in the playoffs. Could you imagine a team calling up, I don't know, a Leonard Floyd?
Yeah,
Leonard Floyd saying, "Hey, come attack McKinley, who's been passed around like yesterday's trash the last few like." Yeah, sure. I'll go play with Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Absolutely.
Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I'm so used to saying Tom Brady and the Patriots.
But I love it. It's like PTSD because back to haunt you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the guy, but Carlos Dunlap. Carlos Dunlap gets a call. Hey, absolutely. Carlos, you want to come play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And sure, yeah.
Let's Florida Gator. That makes a lot of sense. Like that would be a signing that if there was announced tomorrow, it would not be shocking.
Yeah. Nader just mentioned Yannick Ngakoue. He is a name that just keeps slipping my mind. I'm taking a chance on if you've put up double-digit sacks in your career, I want you. I'm taking a flyer on you. I want you on my team. I want to know what you possess. I want
in a championship win. There's no reason not to, right? There is absolutely no reason not to, especially when you're worried about when you think about the cap this year. If you have the ability to make moves, it's going to increase. Yeah. Unbelievably next year, right? So go, and if you are in a window to win, go. There's no reason.
There's a name that might get cut in the coming days, guys. And Davis, my guy, has been a supporter of me since the Instagram days. Davis, I appreciate you, my brother. Hope all is well. Hope you're having a great basketball season too, man. Good basketball player. He's a great basketball player. Maybe we'll throw up his highlights someday on the show. But no, Von Miller. Von Miller is a guy that's been talked about as a potential cut. Von Miller.
I mean, and especially I think he has some off the field stuff that he's working with too.
It actually got fixed. Charges all thrown out, but the Broncos apparently don't want to bring Von Miller back as it stands at this current cap, which I think is like 17 or 16 million. Von Miller might be a free agent. We thought J.J. Watt's whole thing was crazy. And no, I'm not saying Von Miller's better than J.J. Watt, but I think that Von Miller
right now.
I think Von Miller offers a team right now more than J.J. Watt offers a team. And if Von Miller is a free agent, would you want your team to go after a future Hall of Famer? Yes. A guy that's going to be a veteran leader in the locker room? Yes. I'll take Von Miller right now. I know he's coming off of a major injury, but a torn, I think Achilles, but it's Von Miller. I'll take Von Miller.
Absolutely.
I like it. Let me ask you this. Who is your favorite free agent, right? That is a guy that's a free agent right now. It could be a cap casualty or because mine right now is Kevin Zeitler. for personal reasons. But
okay, so are we talking favorite free agent as in like I really enjoy watching this guy play, or like a phenomenal talent that I would love to have on my team?
Either or, right? Because I think that any phenomenal free agent is I think any phenomenal free agent you would want on your team.
Yeah, I agree. So I love Patrick Peterson. He is obviously not the Patrick Peterson of old, right? When he was the outstanding shutdown corner for the Arizona Cardinals. I love Patrick Peterson. I love the way he plays the game. I love the way he talks. Patrick Peterson is a phenomenal watch. I love Patrick Peterson. But if I had to pick a free agent to get on my team right now, man, that's tough because there are so many good ones, and I think a lot of guys in the coming days. I'm gonna have to go with Aaron Jones. He is just so dynamic. He's dynamic. He's fun to watch. He is a skilled playmaker. I think he can really. He is a guy. Now, I'm not a big running backs tend to be overvalued, right? For what they bring to a team. I think the offensive line and the situation is very important in how running back value is perceived.
Agreed.
That being said, there are few running backs in the NFL who can make contributions at multiple levels in a dynamic fashion.
Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey,
Saquon Barkley. And I think Aaron Jones is part of that because he can catch the ball. He can make moves in the open field. He is phenomenal in pass protection, which people like is not something you typically think about in running backs, but it's very important.
Agreed.
He can do it all. And I would love to see him either back in Green Bay is always exciting because the Green Bay offense is good. But you get him in Miami and get a playmaker down there to give Tua a little bit of help. Give that because that offense needs some juice. It needs something electric to push it over the next level, right?
Did you say they need Jamar Chase? Did you say they need Jamar Chase to push it over that?
Draft Jamar Chase at 3 and then sign Aaron Jones, and that offense is totally revamped. You have Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, Jamar Chase, Aaron Jones. That is if you want Tua to succeed, show me a better situation. Show me a better situation than that. Maybe bring it in. They just traded for Isaiah Wilson from Tennessee. Now, granted, he has had some off the field issues and play issues as well. But if he pans out, that certainly helps that offensive line, and they are in a position where they can go get offensive line help even in the back end of the first round because they have 2 first-round picks. Yeah. I mean, that offense could change overnight. Overnight, it could be a totally new offense.
One of my favorite guys here at TWSN, Pranav Sriram, our NBA analyst, he is a Tua hater. He says Tua is like that's his thought process on Tua. He thinks Tua is a game manager, and he's not that impressed with Tua Tagovailoa. Man, I think Tua will be good if you surround him around. Listen, there is still a place in the league for players who aren't necessarily talent uplifters, but can still perform and win under certain circumstances. And I think because you've seen the birth of guys like Patrick Mahomes, guys like Deshaun Watson, guys that are able to create outside of the structure of their offense, I think there is a misconception that you can't win with a guy who's a game manager. I'm here to tell you right now, you can win. You can win with a game manager. You can win. Listen, it's all about catching fire. Listen, I still believe to the day, the healthiest team at the end of the season will be the team that's going to be in the Super Bowl. I still believe that. And obviously you can't be god awful. You have to be good. But I'm saying if you're healthy and you're a good football team, you have a puncher's chance. As soon as you make it to the play, you have a puncher's chance. So can the Dolphins win with Tua? Sure.
Guys like the quarterbacks you named are the exception. They are exceptional, right? And we are entering an age of quarterback play that is going to be really, really fun. It is going to be really, really fun to watch.
Right.
But there have been absolutely guys who have not been out of this league have won Super Bowls. And I think that Tua can do that. And if you put the right pieces around him, man, the Dolphins are going to be one of the fun teams to watch. And I think they have a bright season ahead of them.
So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, what's up with these offensive linemen being available, man? I mean, I have never seen this many starting caliber offensive linemen hit free agency and are actively available. I mean, like, you can literally just pluck guys off a list and you could punch them in right now on your team's offensive line. Prime example, You punch any of these guys that are available and you say, hey, Kansas City Chiefs, for the Super Bowl, we're going to give you Riley Reef. We're going to give you Kevin Zeiler. We're going to give you Gabe Jack. We're going to give me just 2 offensive linemen from this pick of free agency crop right now. The Kansas City Chiefs probably beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. The amount of offensive linemen that are available in free agency is absolutely absurd. I didn't even see this coming. And I usually like to think I have a good pulse on these type of things, the type of situations. I didn't see this coming. I'm like, wow. So who's going to get cut next? Like I'm waiting for Andrew Norwell now. I'm waiting for Andrew Norwell to get cut from Jacksonville. I don't know why Jacksonville will cut him. They got the cap space. They need to protect Trevor. But apparently Trey Turner.
Yeah, Trey Turner is a phenomenal guard. And
Pro Bowler, 5-time.
Yeah, and the Chargers already need offensive line help. Like that was their biggest weakness last year was their offensive line. I am honestly shocked that this many offensive linemen are available because it has been so difficult to find good offensive linemen in free agency the last 5 years. It has been so incredibly difficult. My big name on my list, right? I'm going to go with a tackle first because they're your money makers. The fact that Trent Williams is free to sign, I think he's a top 5 tackle in this league. And the fact that he is free to sign with whatever team he wants is like, you don't see tackles like that become available often because normally they are signed to extensions immediately.
Remember, he took a year off.
Yeah.
And he graded as the top. You said top 5, right? You said top 5. He graded as the top. If I'm not mistaken, PFF had him as the top ranked left tackle in the NFL this year. And
I'm not surprised by it. The dude is incredible. It's incredible. So I am shocked that they let him walk. Another player that I'm shocked that they let him walk, and I'm kind of surprised that the Packers didn't franchise tag, is Corey Linsley. Their center was incredible last year. And
amazing.
When you have like the quarterback center, like similar to like a pitcher catcher combination, when it works, I don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. And then I live in Indiana, so I saw the Jeff Saturday, Peyton Manning exchange for like 17 years or something unbelievable.
Absolutely.
But when you have something like that works really well, and the center is really the anchor of that interior line. If you get a guy who, and it depends from line to line, but if he's the guy who is calling things out for the offensive line, that is so valuable. The fact that a guy like him is available is shocking.
I like him. It reminds me. Yeah. It's almost as if you ever seen the, listen, I'm not big on TikTok, but it's this little trend going around right now on TikTok where it's like a little mysterious song playing in the background. And it's like, dun, 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 and it's like the person's like walking up to the camera and they're like, I dare you do this. I dare you. I dare you. You said you're going to do, and it's almost like the Packers are doing that with Aaron Rodgers. Like, oh, you thought you're going to be good. Oh, well, we're gonna take away your offensive lineman. Oh, we're gonna cut your right tackle. Oh, we're not gonna draft a receiver in the first round last year. Be Aaron Rodgers, I dare you. Be the best quarterback I dare. Be the MVP again, I dare. And to me, when I see that trend, I think of Aaron. I don't know why. Very weird for me to mention a TikTok reference, guys. I promise you, I am not on TikTok. I promise you, I'm not.
Man, I'm surprised you're not. I saw some basketball moves today by you, Malik, that I think are just internet highlight worthy. Man, I just blow me out of the water. But
yeah, man, listen, I'm like Kobe, man. I'm like Kobe. I'm like LeBron mix. Like, I'm just trying to like I always tell people, I'm great to have on your basketball team because I'm a great facilitator. And people are like, oh yeah, because you're good at basketball. No, it's because I can't dribble. I can't dribble, and I can't. I mean, I'm a good shooter, but I'm not gonna wow you, right? So the reason why I'm a good facilitator in basketball and pickup games is because I want to get the ball out of my hands as quick as possible. So I'm looking for the open guy, right? So like, people are like, "Oh, you're good in basketball? Yeah, I'm good in. Sure, I'm a great facilitator. I've learned. So call me LeBron, call me Chris Paul. I'll be the point guy.
All right, point guy, man.
I'll be the point guy. So we want to keep the conversation going, my man. We talked a lot about the NFL. I know you want to talk about Myers Leonard. Yeah, it was a lot to talk, and it's still more to talk about. It is still more to talk about. Myers Leonard came out this week. We're not going to repeat some of the things he said, or any of the things he said. What were your overall thoughts? Like, what should happen with him? What are your thoughts? Like, what should the Miami Heat do with Myers Leonard?
So right now, the Miami Heat have indefinitely. I don't know if they put him on indefinite leave, if they're calling it a suspension. But right now he is currently away from the team indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he deserves whatever actions the team is willing to take, and that you can't have leniency in situations like this because it sets a precedent. Right. And there's no room for this anywhere. Right. And
right.
He came out with a note, an apology saying that he didn't understand the meaning of the word and it was not his intent. And things get heated in Call of Duty, whatever. That's not an excuse. Right. And there is if you're using words in a because obviously it was used negatively, right? It was used with a negative connotation, used to insult someone, right? You know it is a negative word. Why are you using something like that if you do not know the meaning of it? That's not an excuse, right? Yeah. Do I think he should be kicked out of the league? No. The league, the NBA is as global of a brand as they come. Use this to educate, use this to teach, and use it to set a precedent that it is unacceptable. That is, I think, where the NFL made a mistake with Deshaun Jackson when he did something similar this offseason. But you have to set an example to say, hey, look, we don't tolerate any sort of judgment or any sort of bias or discrimination in our league because the NBA is a global game. It is a global game and a global brand, and that's what makes basketball beautiful is that anybody can play it. Yeah, it has to be inclusive, and you can't do something like this. So I think whatever punishment he gets is going to be just. I think he deserves it. You have to be better than that. When you have a global brand and you are a global person, right? He has thousands of followers. You hold yourself to a higher standard, but it should be the standard that we all hold ourselves to, right? It's an NBA guy and it's a big deal. This is a big deal regardless of who says it. It's unacceptable. It needs to be, this type of language should not exist. It should not be something that is in our common vernacular. And that needs to be something that is changed.
Agreed. I'm not going to, I think those are power. I just literally just tweeted it. I think those are powerful words right by you. I'm not going to, beat Myers Leonard up too much. I'm sure it's been a lot. I'll leave that for the talking heads on other various platforms. It's be better.
They'll get to it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Be better, Myers Leonard. Just be better. Listen, we talked about this last week on the show, and I kind of want to talk about it again. I know we said we were done with football, but it just brings these up. I keep hearing these weird analysis and these weird takes about Kyle Pitts. I know what you think about Kyle Pitts. They're talking about he's the second best player in the draft. You see Hall of Fame potential with him. And I'm like, what are you guys, in the most respectful way, what are you guys smoking? Because I don't see that with him. I personally don't see that with him. I see a good player. I see a guy that's going to make the transition to the NFL. I see that. That I see. I do not see this, he's the second best player in the draft behind Trevor Lawrence. He has Hall of Fame potential. Any team would be lucky to have. What are your thoughts? I know you like him. You know where I stand when it comes to drafting tight ends in the first round, let alone, top 5, top 6, top 10. What are your thoughts on this generational player?
You are going to hate me for this analogy I'm about to make. Mm-hmm. You are going to hate me for it.
I'm here for
it. There are very few players in any sport that do many, many things well. There is a player in the NBA who is one of the best passers in the NBA. He is one of the best. He's a great shooter. He is one of the most disciplined defenders. His basketball IQ is out of this world, right? He makes plays all over the floor. He can guard anywhere from point to center. He can lead you offensively anywhere from point to center. He can play the entire top, bottom, coach could put him anywhere and he would thrive. One of the best players in the league, right? Kyle Pitts is to pass catching as to what Giannis Antetokounmpo is to the NBA. And here's why I say that. You can line him up anywhere. There is not a player in the NFL right now who really does that exceptionally. Darren Waller is good at it. Darren Waller is very, very good at it. Right?
Darren
Travis
Waller's
Kelce is good at it.
Considered one of the best tight ends in football.
Yes. And I think Kyle Pitts has the ability to do that now as a rookie. He is unbelievably talented, unbelievably athletic. You can line him out wide, and he's shown the ability to win against SEC corners out wide. You can line him in line at tight end, and he has shown the ability to beat linebackers in line at tight end. He has shown the ability to beat safeties deep. He's shown the ability to beat double coverage, press coverage, man coverage, zone coverage, and anything in between, right? He has been double teamed, leaned safety help over the top. Okay. Whatever they've done against him, there's been nothing on film to show me what you have to do to stop Kyle Pitts. Now, NFL is a different college football. But if you're going to get anywhere close, it's the SEC. And in an all SEC year, Kyle Pitts absolutely dominated. And we haven't seen anyone from the tight end position dominate like the way he has. There are a lot of really good tight ends in our league, right? And if you think some of the top tight ends right now, in my mind, top three, I'm going to go Kelce, Kittle, Waller, right? Those are the top three that I would say are in the league right now. None of them came in with the amount of juice that Kyle Pitts is coming into this draft, right? Kelce was too slow. Kittle wasn't as good of a pass catcher. Waller hadn't shown the ability to block. Pitts has showed all of that. Now, all of those guys are very phenomenal players who have
shown the ability to block.
Yes.
At what level?
He has shown the ability to be able to make plays and to block in the run game. Now, Florida's run game is very spread, so it doesn't, and that is the one flaw that I would give, but I still think he is a good run blocker because they run out of the spread, whatever. Florida's offense is good, and they run it great.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is just such an exceptional weapon. There is, in the right hands, he could be one of the best pass catchers in the NFL. And I think that is kind of you can say that about any prospect, right? That, if he goes to the right team, then he's going to be great. Sure.
Yeah.
But utilized correctly, Kyle Pitts is going to be an absolute monster. An absolute monster.
In the words of my man, Sean Abroff here at TWSN, you can catch him. He does the TWSN draft show along with Cade every single Thursday. I vehemently disagree with you. I disagree.
Okay.
And here's why. I'm not here to talk and say that Kyle Pitts is not going to be a fine pro. I'm not going to even, discredit Kyle Pitts and say, I don't think he could block or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to say, if you're drafting in the top 10 of the NFL draft, you have needs that go far beyond a tight end. A tight end, guys, is a luxury position. I've said it before on the show before, and I'll keep saying it. You look at all the top tight ends in football, right? And even if we're saying the potential for Kyle Pitts to be the best tight end in football, he's not going to come in year one and be the best tight end in football. I don't think he will be. But you look at some of the guys that have been drafted, the top tight ends in football. Darren Waller was a 6th round pick, was on a practice squad for a long time, and was promoted, found his footing with the Raiders. Travis Kelce, believe he was a 3rd round pick. Zach Ertz, 2nd round pick. Mark Andrews, 3rd or 4th round pick. You see where I'm going with this? George Kittle, 5th round pick. Like, when you draft a tight end, you don't have to draft a tight end that early with the hope. I mean, if you're drafting a tight end, right, especially a guy like Kyle Pitts, I hope that your roster is set. I certainly hope that your offense, at least your offense, is set. I hope that you don't have like a major hole, at left tackle and a top left tackle sitting staring at you, but because Kyle Pitts is projected to be a great player, you draft him, or so on and so forth. You have a major need at at cornerback, and you see Kyle Pitts in there. I'm going to draft him, and listen. Kyle Pitts is going to be a good player in this league. I don't agree with the whole Hall of Fame takes and all this kind of stuff that we're seeing based on my analysis of Kyle Pitts. When I watched his film, I didn't see a good blocker. I saw an adequate blocker. I don't think that's going to be something that you're going to go and ask Kyle Pitts to do. I still think you're going to want a tight end out there. I think if you're drafting Kyle Pitts, you certainly want Kyle Pitts lined up as a receiver, primarily as a threat, right? So, I mean, can he be a good tight end in the NFL? We'll see. I mean, I think he will be, but I just disagree with all the Hall of Fame takes that I'm seeing, and I think that there are. Let me be clear. Let me lay out the way it goes for me. The best prospect in this draft, not just by position, the best prospect in this draft is Penei Sewell, in my opinion. Penei Sewell is the best prospect in this draft. Afterwards, it's Trevor Lawrence, and then at that point, you can rank them however which you like. But to me, Kyle Pitts is not a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence. Kyle Pitts is not a better prospect than Penei Sewell. So we should really. I think that a lot of this chatter that's been going on too is a lot of teams just trying to push him down. So he, some of these quarterbacks hit their team when it's time to draft. But want to keep it going. Want to definitely keep the conversation flowing and going. The All Star. I don't want to spend too much time on the All Star because I don't really care for it, to be quite honest with you.
There are a lot of All-Star games, or there's some sort of All-Star game in every sport, right? If I would rank them, the three major sports, right? I think your MLB All-Star game is actually number one. I think that is the most exciting. I think that the NBA All-Star comes in at number two, and the NFL Pro Bowl is an absolute disgrace to football, and I hate watching it. Look, they've tried to make improvements to it. There's no defense. It's whatever.
Right.
Like, you can't make these guys play defense. What I've been more disappointed in more than anything is the lack of excitement and the lack of name brand talent in the NBA dunk contest. I mean, to me, the last 2 years, the 3-point contest has been more exciting. What does the NBA need to do to make the dunk contest what it was? Because when it was exciting, Vince Carter, right? You had Nate Robinson, Dwight Howard, like Michael Jordan won the dunk contest. Kobe Bryant won the dunk contest. And no offense to the guys who competed in it this year, but when your champion is Anfernee Simons, I butchered that name and I apologize, but what do we have to do to get some name brand talent back into it to bring the juice back to the dunk contest? Because right now it leaves me wanting more.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that league has changed, obviously. I think you got players who no longer care to compete against the best of the best. I think you got players who, they're more worried about load managing. They're more focused on other things. I don't think that, the dunk competition really means much to them. Or I think hopefully that you don't want that to be the case, but it certainly seems like that's the case. You don't see the same level of competition, even with the pro. I mean, but you look across any league, it seems like that's the new thing nowadays. The athletes' mindsets have just changed, right? And I like skills competitions being added back, to the NFL, for instance. And I also think the skill, I don't know. I just don't think that. I think a lot of players are so focused on the end goal. Especially some star players are focused on the end goal, and players deal with so many injuries and stuff like that. It's not like the old school days where they're playing nicked up and stuff like that. You got players get asked to, be in the dunk competition, and no, I don't want to do that. It would be exciting to see some guys in there, guys like maybe LeBron, Zion, so on and so forth. So many different guys.
Yeah, some of the electric talent in the league that like. I mean, that's what brings the NBA to a phenomenal level, is that the talent and the skill of those and the athleticism is just top notch. I would like to see it in the dunk competition, but I understand what you're saying too. In the middle of the year, like, right, that you still have half a season left. I get it, but I don't like it. As a fan, I don't like it.
I forgot who said it, but somebody said, that's the thing about the NBA nowadays. Everybody wants to be buddy. Not saying that don't get me wrong. The guys in the 90s, they played together. They hung out together. They were friends.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it seems very, it seems like almost you're getting together with your friends. Like
hey, look, me and my friends, right? We lower the rim to 8 feet because I am unathletic, and then we have an absolute jam session on that rim. right? I have bent many a rim on 8.5 feet. And let me tell you, even if you're buddy, like I still think it would be awesome to go out there and compete. I don't know what needs to improve, but something needs to improve. I trust Adam Silver to hopefully figure it out because he's shown some competence. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of them having the All-Star game this year anyway, if they're going to go with all these COVID restrictions, like the guys can't have jerseys, but you're going to put, up teen guys from all different locker rooms into the same locker room for one weekend. Look, seems a little hypocritical, but the NBA is a business and they made a business decision. And speaking of business decisions that I find interesting, we're going to pivot to, I know you're not a big baseball guy, but this is more of on the brand of sports as a whole. Mm-hmm. The Texas Rangers announced today that they are going to have full capacity in their stadium for opening day. Mm. More than anything, right? Like, I'm not going to make you talk about Texas and what their mandates are, right? Does this give you hope for sports does this give you hope? I mean,
because like every team is going to be looking at it like, okay, well, this, the Texas Rangers are doing it. Why can't we? Right? Why can't we open a full capacity? Do I agree with it? That's a whole different story. But I will say that there is hope. Sports is coming back slowly but surely. I think it'll gradually progress more and more and more to that. At some point, guys, the world will return to normalcy. But when it comes to, you talk about all those people gathered around at games, no mask, and
there is going to be a mask mandate for the Texas. Yeah, for the Rangers Stadium, they are making you wear masks.
Okay, I feel a little bit better about that because listen, I can't. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I went to a Bengals Steelers game. I'm all in favor for people, attending sporting events. But I just think that it needs to be, as long as there are some restrictions. But because all the while you may be taking care of yourself, you can't trust that the person next to you. You don't know where they've been, and what their current situation is. So that is the little bit of a worrisome situation.
Oh man, but does it give me excitement to be able to see fans come back? Yeah, right. To be able to, I miss it, man, because especially, and I'm going to notice it more like for this event than anything. But March Madness without the fans it's just not going to be the same. I will watch all of the games that I can. Right, I will be glued to a couch with a nice bag of chips, but. Yeah, I miss the fans. I think this is a positive sign. I hope that, teams at least try to do it in stages or waves, whatever they think the best way to do it is. But crowds make sports better. So hopefully we're headed in the right direction.
I agree. Last topic I definitely want to talk to Cody. We got to talk about it. UFC 259 recap. Lots to get into there. Where do you want to start? Listen, okay, I'll start with the Megan Anderson thing. My Megan Anderson tip.
I got
a lot of heat, from the guys over at the other show on Tuesday nights. They
do a great job. They do a great
job. They can't compete with us, but they do a great. They do a great job. They try. Listen, people are going to have bad takes. My take was certainly bad about Megan Anderson. Listen, nobody could have predicted Megan Anderson going in there against Amanda Nunes crumbling like that quickly.
Yep.
So, that all being said, Amanda Nunes is the GOAT. It's not that, if you remember what I said, my words correctly on the show, I said the smart money is on Amanda. I said that. I said the smart money is on Amanda. I thought that the fact that she had a child, I thought the fact that she had a long layoff was going to work to Megan's advantage. And I was wrong. Yep. It didn't work to Megan's advantage. Megan Anderson got sparked. She lost to Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes is the GOAT. She's the lioness who's supposed to happen, right? I've always been a big fan of Amanda Nunes. That wasn't Amanda Nunes slander. Now, a take I was right about.
Yes.
Israel Adesanya. I said, go ahead.
Great fight. Yeah. Great fight. But man, the Polish power, Jan Blachowicz, he came in. He did exactly what he needed. You hit the nail on the head. And Malik, I know that you love being right, and it fuels a fire in me that I can't explain. But you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. I saw it happening the way it was going to happen. The way it happened. I knew that Jan would have to incorporate his wrestling. I knew that Jan was going to have to make the fight dirty, muddy, and take Izzy to places he's never been before. That all being said, all the Israel Adesanya fans were so upset and so hurt. Some even here at TWSM were like, "Oh, but is he looked okay, but he gassed out after a while." It showed that light heavyweight's really not his division. It's not really something that he should stay at middleweight. Let's put it that way. He struggled to even make weight at light heavyweight. So that all being said, people are saying, "Oh, well, we know if he fought John Jones, how that fight would go." All the while, I think John Jones would absolutely dismantle Israel Adesanya. Oh. Let me be clear when I say this: no two fights are the same. No two fights are the same. To completely dismiss one guy because he was absolutely wrong, never do that. No two games are the same. No two fights are the same, right? Just because the Jets beat the Rams doesn't mean the Jets doesn't mean the Rams, the Rams will lose to, I don't know, the Jaguars, for instance. It's not the same. So the same can be said for Israel Adesanya. I think that his best bet is to stay away from John Jones, far away from John Jones. And after that, stay in middleweight. Just stay in middleweight, defend your crown, be the undisputed greatest middleweight of all time, and go from there.
Still a champion, right? Still has a lot.
Right.
So the last fight we talked about, man, Peter Yan made a terrible mistake.
Sorry to cut you off. Nader, you said, "Oh, undoubtedly." I just had to address this because I didn't get a chance to address it. And he said, "Undoubtedly, you can book it. Israel Adesanya was going to win." Nader, you were wrong. I was right. I just wanted to say it really, really quickly. Cody, I know you were expecting like a big, "Oh yeah, I was." No, but Nader, I wanted just to address you. You're like, you can book it to the bank. Israel Adesanya is going to win. I said, what makes you so confident in saying that? You were wrong. Just take a chill. Israel Adesanya will come back, but continue. I'm sorry.
So Peter Yan, right? Aljamain Sterling. That was Peter Yan's fight. Peter Yan won that fight all the way up until he made a terrible, terrible bone. I don't know. So he said his camp told him to launch the knee. Look, you can't make mistakes like that. Not in the UFC. I understand some disqualifications can be, "Oh, well, it was close." It wasn't close. It wasn't close. It was a terrible decision. He made the wrong one. And he need a guy on the ground in the head. You can't do it. That was Peter Yan had that fight won, and he gave it to Aljamain. Now, to Aljamain Sterling's credit,
let's roll the clip. Just in case some people didn't see it. Actually, let's roll the clip. Let's see if we can get up here.
Fighter, watch this. You can't get more illegal than that.
Yeah, Joe.
It is as illegal.
It's a no-brainer, Joe.
It's a no-brainer in terms of
Aljamain's going to be upset, but he's going to get the belt wrapped around his belt.
And new UFC bantamweight champion of the world, Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling.
So yeah, I mean that was the clip of the knee.
Yeah, I mean, terrible. It's bad fighting. It's not what the UFC was meant to be, right? This isn't street fights on YouTube, right? It's combat sports at the highest level. There is no room for it. Now, that being said, I am excited to watch Aljamain Sterling defend the title because I think he is going to have to go out and prove that it's his. Because Peter Yan gave it to him, right? He is going to have to compete because a lot of people don't think he earned it.
Okay. Listen, I am a huge MMA enthusiast here. Peter Yan was dominating that fight.
Yeah.
Peter Yan was dominating the fight because I think there's some people that try to make an excuse to say Aljamain Sterling was and I was kind of disappointed because my picks would have been I would have went 2 for 1 had that hit. Peter Yan's not a dirty fighter. Let me start there. That's a notion going around, an asinine notion going around by a lot of people. Peter Yan's not a dirty fighter. He's never been a dirty fighter. It was a mistake on his part. That's not something he planned to do. He knew he was in the lead of that fight. He was absolutely dominating Aljamain Sterling. He had Aljamain Sterling out on his feet at one point. You know what I mean? Aljamain went, I think he went 1 for 6 on his takedown attempts. Peter Yan actually went 5 of 6 on his takedowns. Crazy enough. His takedown defense was absolutely fantastic against against Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling just didn't have an answer for him. So I just wanted to kind of just nip that in the bud right there. The fight was not close. The fight was not close at all. Peter Yan was dominant in that fight. Peter Yan proved to Aljamain Sterling. I actually tweeted right before the knee. Peter Yan is showing to Aljamain Sterling that there's levels to this. There's levels. There's a contender and then there's a champion, right? Peter Yan proved that he was the champion. It was a boneheaded mistake, a dumb mistake by his corner, by him. You should know the rules. Also, he didn't know, because if you look at the video correctly, Aljamain Sterling was actually getting up at one point and then he went back down. He was getting up at one point and he went back down. Somewhere in that it got fogged up and Peter Yan, went for the knee, got disqualified. Now, let's talk about we talked about Peter Yan making the mistake, right? We can agree it was a mistake. He's not a dirty fighter. I've watched so many fights of this guy, and he had opportunities to absolutely dominate people as I've seen him do that and do a move like that. He's never done something like that before, so I don't think that was intentional. But I want to talk about the ending of that. I want to talk about the ending. First of all, terrible officiating by Herb Dean. Terrible officiating. You ask the fighter, do you want to continue after presumably being concussed, or what we presume to have him being concussed? You got to take better control of that. But that's not the point I want to talk about. If Aljamain Sterling was so concussed, if Aljamain was so hurt, why was he asked to do an interview afterwards? Why was he completely coherent during the interview? And then it seems like the more and more Aljamain Sterling talks about this fight with Peter Yan, he digs himself into a deeper hole. He on his podcast, the Weekly Scraps or whatever it's called, he says, what was going through my mind when I was on the floor wasn't that I was going to be champion. It was going to be, Dana's not going to give me another opportunity to fight and stuff like. We were all under the assumption you couldn't think properly. We were all under the assumption you were out of it. So you had all these thoughts about Dana's not going to give you another chance. You're going to have to fight 3. These are things, and I quote him, I'm going to have to fight 3 more times before I get another opportunity to defend, to fight for the belt again. So to me, I am not going to sit up here and ever say a fighter faked an injury. That like it was in legal name, right? Nobody knew he was going to get kneed.
Yep.
Was it a little bit theatrics involved? I think it was, personally. I thought it was a little theatric. And no, I don't think Aljamain Sterling knew he was going to be the champion. I think Aljamain Sterling knew he was losing that fight. I also think Aljamain Sterling knew at worst case scenario it was going to be a disqualification. He thought nobody was going to win. That I believe. I think he thought it was going to be a no contest and they would fight, they would run it back.
Yeah.
But I think he also had it in his mind, I'm losing this fight, so I'm going to make a business decision. I can't blame the guy.
No,
if I'm in that situation, I might, and I'm getting my ass kicked all around the ring. I might do the same thing. I might do the same thing. But to me, I don't buy that. Oh, I was so out of it, because he was completely coherent in the interview. And I don't know. Dana said he tested and he was fine. That's what Dana White said. So once again, we don't know what took place, but Aljamain Sterling, I'm not going to even say you should vacate the belt. You're a champ right now, right? I don't think the UFC would ask you to vacate the belt either. Not at this point. They crowned you champ. They see you on the show with the belt and all that kind of stuff. He did a podcast yesterday with the belt, saying he's the champ and toasted. That being said, you've got a lot to work on before you step back in there with Peter Yan. I think you step back in there with Peter Yan, you ain't got to worry about being champion for much longer. I think Peter Yan's going to come at him with a vengeance. I think Peter Yan's going to win the belt back.
Yeah, I don't think you would have to worry about it getting into a decision either. So,
yeah. All right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
What a show.
It was a great show,
man.
Great show as always.
Love it.
Most exciting, entertaining show on TWSN's YouTube channel. Catch us every single Wednesday night. Me and my man Cody. Follow him, Smash It Sports on Twitter. Follow me at Right Report on Twitter. We're always answering questions, talking with you guys. Love the interactions I've got this week. Appreciate all the new followers. Gained almost 300 new followers on Twitter this week, and all the DMs of appreciation and support. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Cody, the next time we jump on this show, it is going to be an absolute wild free agency ride. It'll be so much more to talk about, so much news to talk about.
We're going to learn a lot.
You know how I am at every single free agency. I'm going to be literally glued to my phone. So it's going to be one to talk about, and hopefully our team is very active. I think the tampering period starts Monday, actually. So
all right, let's go. I love the news. I love the essence of it. Give me all the Schefter tweets, the Rappaport tweets, and most importantly, the TWSN tweets, the articles that are going to be coming out on the mobile app. Download the mobile app. Check out our content because it is going to be as informative and entertaining as any content you will see during this free agency period.
Absolutely. Cody, I love it. Cody said it all, man. But guys, continue to join us each and every single Wednesday night as we continue to change the game through sports conversations. And like I said, we love you guys getting involved. We appreciate you guys being supported. This was the most viewers we had on a show and since we launched this thing a few weeks back. So Cody, it's getting there. It's getting there, man. It's getting there. It's getting exciting. And without you guys,
look, we're going up.
We're going up. We're going up. And we are super excited for everything that we are going to do with this show. Might have a big interview coming up too as well, so be on the lookout for that, guys, as well.
I'm excited. So thank you guys for checking us out because we do it for you. We do it for you. We want to entertain you. Yeah. So thank you. Share it. Tell a friend.
Yep. Tell a friend. And we're going to continue to change the game. Guys, see you next week live on the Game Changers every single Wednesday night, 8 p.m. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
The marathon continues. The Mamba mentality has left a mark. Shout out to the NBA legend, Kobe, and your daughter, Gigi. From Tom Brady to Drew Bledsoe. Rain, sleet, or snow, I grind.